Hi there, and welcome to the Davinci Resolve Beginner to Advanced course. Colour grading is still viewed by many as kind of a dark art, somewhere on the edge of the technical and the creative that makes it just a little bit hard to take in and master. Well, there's no magic here, just an opportunity to finish images and realise their hidden potential. This course is going to take you from the very basics, how to read an image and how to take an edit into Davinci Resolve, through to advanced grading, necessary colour science, and how to deliver to web, broadcast and cinema. By the end of this course, you'll be confidently keying, rotoscoping and tracking your way to high-end professional quality images. I've been doing this for 5 years on a freelance basis. In that time, I've worked on projects for Unilever, the BBC Natural History Unit and the NHS, as well as many other brands, drama projects and music videos. When I started colour grading at university, there was no one to teach me anything about the grade. I had to pick everything up from scratch. Now, that's given me a deep understanding of my craft, but it took a great deal of, sometimes painful, trial and error, and I want to spare you from as much of that as possible. Through lectures and mostly practical hands-on projects, we're going to go from basic contrast adjustments right the way through to multi-pass advanced grading using most of Resolve's tools. There won't be a project that will faze you after this course, be it a short, a music video, or even a feature film. You'll be ready for it and producing amazing grades before you know it. I'm going to give you a few basics for free though, so check out the videos below and see if this is for you. For the most part, you can work through this course on the free version of Resolve, but we will be going into some paid version features as well. Building a course like this is a massive undertaking, and this is the first wave of content. This version of the course contains all the know-how and practical material you'll need to finish and deliver a project for the web. I'm then going to move on to providing additional practical projects and lectures on more advanced deliveries and techniques in the short-term future. It is my goal to bring a practical project to this course every month until there's a bank of 4 to 6 practical projects. This depends on the clearance I can get from my past clients. So, things are just going to keep getting better, and I'm going to do my best to keep up with everyone on the course's forum. Now, a word on the training footage I'm going to provide. I would like nothing more than for it all to be cleared for showreel use, but that's entirely down to the agreement I can make with my past clients. The training footage on this course all comes from previous real-world contracts. It's stuff shot for ads, corporate and drama. None of this has been staged for this course. That being the case, if the footage is watermarked, please respect this and do not post it publicly. If the footage is watermarked, then it was the only way I could provide you with material to practice with. This is an agreement between you and me. If you enroll on this course, you agree to respect any watermark placed on the training footage or any terms dictated should it be provided in a raw format. Now, on a lighter note, I really look forward to seeing what you all do with the material I can provide. As always, Udemy's got your back with its excellent money-back guarantee. Right, so let's go over a quick overview of this course so far. We're going to go through a full crash on how to use Resolve, where the tools are, what each panel, which is like a window, does. We're going to go over how to bring a project into Resolve from Premiere Pro or Final Cut at first. I'll update this course with Avid workflows later on. We'll move on to how to read an image with the scopes in Resolve, which is an essential skill. We need to be able to read our material properly before we can move on to making adjustments to the colour of any image. After that, we'll go over the colour grading tools within Resolve and work on our short sequence, which is what you can see here, taken from a short film shot on a Blackmagic cinema camera. Once we're done with that, it's on to our first real-world project shot on a Sony FS700. Now, this was a really short video, but I just think it's important to have an idea of what's coming. Once you're ready to begin, click on through to the next lecture. Okay, so hello to everyone just starting this course around the dawn of a new version of Davinci Resolve, this time version 20. Now, there's a lot to be done to update the course to reflect the new tools in version 20, and I just want to let you know what to expect from this update process. So I'm going to be prioritizing the new tools first. I'm going to be looking at things like the 6 vector, the new color warper, and then we've got some effects like the automatic depth map and other things which have been updated as well, and I'm going to do those first. Then I'm going to go back over the existing demonstrations and I'm going to be looking for places where the UI has changed sufficiently as to cause confusion, and then I will update that. And then after that I will be re-recording some of the work-along grading demos as well. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew what to expect, and this is very much a work in progress as I update to the new version, but those updates are coming. So I hope you enjoy what's coming, and I will sign off with a phrase you're going to be hearing a lot of, which is click on through to the next lecture once you're ready. Okay, so for this video, I just want to show where you can find the downloadable material that accompanies this course. This isn't in the usual place for downloadable add-ons that you get in other Udemy courses because the files are way too big. They're video files. They become multiple gigabytes, as you will find out. So let's take a look at where we can find these. If we look at the course content list on the right-hand side, and we can unfold a section, you'll see that every now and again one of these is in block capitals and says download link. And these are spread throughout the course. I've got one for the baked master file, I've got one for the XML project, the AAF, all of these things. So if you just go down this list in logical order, not skipping anything, you'll get to all of these links as and when you need them. Now if you want to pick and choose, let's say I want to do some primary grading, you'll have to explore a little bit, because in scopes here we've got primary tools asset download link, and if I click on this one, you can see that this is a text article, it's not a video, and I give you a link, and then I give you a password, and this is a WeTransfer link. Now the only way I can do this is through WeTransfer. I don't have the option of using Dropbox instead because Dropbox has limits on monthly traffic, and when there's a big sale or if it's Black Friday for example, the whole thing shuts down. I've had problems with that when I first launched this course, so it does have to be WeTransfer. I can't do this any other way. Now we all know how WeTransfer works. I'm just going to copy this address. I'm then going to paste that into my browser, and then I need to go back and here I give you a password. Don't go crazy. That is a reference to an old RPG called Baroque, if anyone else out there has played it and also completed it, which I doubt. And then I'll just put the password in there, and here we have short sequence, and you can download that and you can begin working on it. Now these are spread throughout the course as and when they become necessary. So if we take a look at grading a music video, here we have the music video asset download link. If we take a look at the real world project, corporate video download link. So this is how you find the downloadable content. Usually they're at the start of the module in which they're relevant. The short film, the ads, they're all just here. So this is where you find the downloadable content throughout the course. Just keep that in mind as you go through and you should not get lost. So that's everything for this video. Click on through to the next lecture once you're ready. I'm really glad to see you here. We're going to have to go through some basic starter stuff first, but think of it like this. This is the first step on our journey into grading. We'll get there, but we need to set a few things up and go over some basic things that Davinci Resolve does a little differently. First, we're going to talk about the internal databases Davinci uses to save its project files. I know that databases don't sound exciting, but bear with me, this is super important. Resolve does not save project files the way you might expect. Once you have saved your project in Resolve, that project does not appear anywhere on your computer like you'd expect from something like a Word document or a Premiere Pro project file. Resolve uses internal databases to save and manage its projects, and that means that by default you must access your projects by opening the software first. Think of it as having a video game save file. You have to boot up Elden Ring before you choose which of your characters you're going to play as. What we're going to do is go over how we make a new database and how to manage them so that we can always keep track of our project files and never lose anything. We'll go over how to export a project file so that you can find it externally in a later lecture, but we will cover it. When we first open Davinci Resolve, there is an option to take a guided tour. If you'd like to do that, then go ahead. We're going to cover all of the same things though, so skipping it is completely okay. Once you're done with the tour, you're met with the project panel, which is what we can see here. This is where we access and manage all of our saved project files, and it's where we're going to take a look at our Resolve database and possibly set up a new one. But first, we need to understand where our default database is. it is always on the same drive that Resolve was installed on. This is usually the boot drive, or the startup disk, and that's okay most of the time. But if you have a very small or full boot drive, then it may well be worth setting up a database in a different location. For those who are not familiar with IT, the boot drive is the drive your operating system is installed on, and by default it is called the C drive when you look at it in Windows Explorer. If you're on a Mac, then you need to check the About This Mac option and it will tell you what your startup disk is, and that is the same thing. We're going to take a look at how to set up a new database, just in case we have issues with our default location. First, in the upper left, there is an icon that allows us to see a full list of all of our current databases. We have our default database, and I want to stress that most of the time it's okay to use the default here. As we add more databases, they will appear on the left here, and you can see that I only have the one database. So let's set up a new one and see how this works. We need to hit the Add Project Library button at the bottom of the page. We'll then be given this window. It's going to give us two options, Create or Connect, and it wants to know whether or not we're connecting to a pre-existing database or possibly an online database on a network drive or a server within our facility, or whether or not we're creating an entirely new database on our local disk. Now, a database on a server is often referred to as an SQL database, and they're used in post-production facilities to enable multiple users to access the same set of projects across multiple workstations. We're going to use the Create option here and make a database on our local disk so we can just access it whenever we need to. So I'm going to make sure that Create is chosen here. Now, databases are best kept on fast-reading drives with a decent amount of space, which is why they're fine on boot drives a lot of the time. It's not best to put these on a standard spin disk or SATA drive. The faster the better, so SSD is ideal for this. I now need to give it a name, so I'm just going to call this one Demo Database. We generally need to make a new folder which is dedicated to this database, and that folder should be empty. So I'm going to make a new folder. Double click in here and I will select this folder. In older versions of Resolve, it used to be that we couldn't put spaces or capital letters in our database names. Now that is no longer an issue. Once we've created this database, we can see that it's turned up on the left in our project libraries list. Now again, most of you should be fine with the default location. Only do this if you have a reason to do this. But sometimes things can go wrong with permissions, or the boot drive can have a small capacity, and it's best to make a new database then. Now that we have this, you can see that these two databases contain a completely different array of projects. My local database, which is my default, contains all of my old stuff, and my new one is basically empty, which is what we would expect since it's new. So I'm just going to go back and work with my local database. I made the demo for demo purposes. There's one last thing I want to show you here which is useful, and that's making a folder for your projects, and that's very, very easy. All you have to do is click this button in the upper right here, which is the Add Folder button, and it will create a new folder. Now we'll create one for May 2023, and there we go. I can now go into this folder and I can make my projects for this month here. It is worth keeping everything organized. I know it's boring, but it really is. 2 or 3 years down the line, you could find yourself going back to some of these things for some reason, and you want to be able to find it then. To get back to the first level in our database, in the upper left, we have our kind of file path up here, projects May 23. We just double click on projects and we'll go back into projects. You can nest multiple folders inside each other just like you can in any other kind of Explorer interface. Right, that's a little awkward at first, but it's super important to understand. In the next lecture, we're going to move straight on ahead and we're going to start looking at some of the panels within Resolve. So I'll see you in the next lecture.